I hate to tell y'all, but Tyvis is right.
Oh,
About
Um, about it's the same guys except for two players, and that's those two tackles.
well, let's not
You
act like they're
change
insignificant.
And Zadarius
no,
Smith
but
in
hold
my
on,
vote.
hold on. You change the pressure you get up the middle, and everything else seems more disruptive. Last year they got no pressure up the middle, so Miles and Jadavian could go as wide as they want, and all the quarterback had to do was step up. When the other team ran the ball, they ran right up the middle. You pretty much take your two defensive players out of the game. Now, I will say this. One of the things that annoyed me, and
Anthony
I've said
Walker
this,
wasn't there last year.
I will say this. One of
Yes,
the
he was.
things that annoyed me
Got hurt
last
early.
year, and I said this over and over again, when you have a player like Myles Garrett, you move him around and create mismatches with everybody on that offensive line. They never moved him. And now they're moving him around and the offense don't know what to do. Because not only do you have to deal with Myles Garrett, but the other guys are bringing the heat. That's where your team is different. So whether it's with blitzing or whatever, it starts with those front four and what they've done and what they are doing these first 3 weeks have made all the difference in the world in that defense. And I would even go a step further and say the pressure that you're getting up the middle is changing the way we look at this defense.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fair, but
I'm not sure how that's you're agreeing with Tyvis's point was that
Joe Woods was fine.
no, that's not what I.
No.
My point is
saying-
that he
he's
didn't
saying
have
it's
the personnel.
He's saying that you could get on the coach all you want, and there's some blame to go there too, because his job is to get the most out of the players he has.
Right.
And lining up guys and just having them play football when you know damn well you can't get a rush up the middle, that's on the coach. But I'm also saying those guys weren't as good as the guys they have this year.
Yeah, sure.
And it gives,
we know
and,
that.
and it
Yeah,
gives,
yeah.
and it gives the new defensive coordinator a lot more flexibility, knowing that when we start every play, we know we're gonna get some pressure up the middle.
Yeah.
Leroy, what changed with Deshaun Watson? What was the change in this game when he played his best from what you were seeing in the other games?
Time. He just looked comfortable, right? He looked comfortable. Some would say that he didn't have the pressure of having to get the ball to Nick Chubb. You know what I mean? You could say that, but I would just say Deshaun Watson, for the first time as a Cleveland Brown, looked comfortable playing quarterback. And we knew it was going to come. We knew eventually he was going to get back to playing the type of quarterback. That stuff just don't go away, right? But you just didn't know when. There's no test to say how long it takes a quarterback to get in rhythm after not playing football for a year. There's no test. You've been out with injury. That's different. That was different than this. That man had not only not playing football, he had a little weight on his head. So, I mean, it looks like, if I could say one thing that's different, he looked comfortable. He looked patient. His decisions were decisive. He made the throws that we all know he can make, and we were looking at going, oh, okay. Now that's the Deshaun we've seen throwing the ball. And just everything seems to be working for him right now.
Leroy, let's talk. I want your take on the running backs and what we've seen. Obviously, the Nick Chubb devastating injury.
By the way, if I may.
Yeah.
And me and Tyvis already had this conversation. Ryan Clark and Minkah Fitzpatrick are explaining what it's like to play DB. And I get that. But what you're explaining does not match that damn play.
You thought it was dirty?
Here, you can call it what you want. It is what it is. But here's what happened. Nick Chubb was held up and turned so that he couldn't even see Minkah Fitzpatrick. He was faced damn near the other way because he was getting turned by somebody holding him up high. And Minkah Fitzpatrick went down low like a coward. When you hit somebody like that who can't see you, what do you call that? Okay? So you can put whatever twist you want on it. And I've said this over and over again. If it's me against you, you get me down however you can. That's on me. But if I'm being held up, how in the hell can every other player in the NFL have protections for that type of play right there, except the damn running back, and then say, oh, it was legal? Really? Really? We took that away from D linemen. You can't get cracked back. You can't just, defensive backs can just run around the field and look all pretty and wave to their mom. Can't nobody knock the hell out of them. And you say you don't have any protections as a defender? No, that's the only play right there that is a defenseless player and he has no protections. So you look at the play, you listen to them explain the play, talking about, oh, he got to get Nick Chubb down however he can because that dude is a beast. Really? In that situation, he's a beast? Not looking at you and you go low? I ain't buying it. I ain't buying it. The explanation of what happened and what they're explaining and what happened on that play don't match. And you can say what you want about it. You can say what you want about it. But just look at the tape. And you tell me, how in the hell could Nick Chubb protect himself?
He couldn't. It was impossible.
Right.
You know,
he couldn't because he was turned.
Leroy, when I first saw it, I thought it was a dirty play. And then I had Tyvis and another defensive, or actually two other defensive players tell me it wasn't dirty. But
no,
Tyvis,
you know what's interesting?
It wasn't dirty to me, but go ahead.
I told you and the group in the
offense versus
in the
defense.
moment, I sent about 12 to 15 texts to former players asking the exact same question. And to me, the split was the offensive players hated it and the defensive players were making excuses for it.
Yeah.
And I did see Ryan Clark's defense of it, and I'm with you. What Ryan was explaining was not what happened on that play.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I don't know what happened.
Exactly.
I ain't see where,
you know what? I'm a defensive guy, and I never thought about it in that way because I'm a defensive guy. It's always hunt.
Yeah.
But he is correct. When I tore my ACL, I got cut by somebody that was coming in the line of scrimmage. It was a running back on a crackback. And I think they eliminated that play. You can't go low against somebody on the outside of the tackle box.
Yeah.
And it blew my knee out. And I never thought about it in a way of being a running back and you're turned held up defenseless because you're holding the ball and somebody come low. I would rather you come high and just wrap me up. I kind of changed my mind the way you explained it.
Here's another thing with that. Keep in mind, when you're running the football, take it from me, I'm a fumbler. Okay? What they do is they hold you up and then people come and snatch the ball. Right? And they come try to get the ball. Now just imagine you trying to protect the ball and then somebody take your knee out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he dove his whole body into him.
That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And by the way, it's off topic a little bit, but Minkah Fitzpatrick was hit with a helmet-to-helmet, and there were some that said they didn't think it was a penalty.
Yeah.
But in the Sunday night game, he led with his helmet on Jimmy Garoppolo.
Listen, at the very least, it was completely reckless. At the very least, right? I doubt Minkah Fitzpatrick was actively thinking, I'm gonna really hurt Nick Chubb here. Like he was purposely trying to give him a bad injury.
No, but he is the head of the beast.
He was very reckless.
Nick Chubb, though, is the head of the beast.
Yeah, again, at minimum, it was completely reckless to throw your whole body into a guy's leg.
But to sit here and stand on your soapbox and say, what about protections for the defense?
Yeah.
You got. Let me tell you something. Defenders got a lot more protection than Nick Chubb.
That's true.
Right? We can't do nothing. We can't, and keep in mind, the one position on the football field that can't initiate contact. So is running back, because he getting hit on every play. People hit him to mess with him. People hit him to try to get him off his game. Whatever. I'm cool with that. Like, that's the way it is. That shows your toughness. But at the same time, don't sit here and complain when half of the ways we used to knock y'all asses out has been taken out of the game.
Right.
Yeah, you can't
Right?
cut no more.
No,
cut,
that's
cut,
true.
cut
You can't cut.
is illegal.
You can't cut. You can't cut. I don't think a defender understands what cutting does to a player because they can't get cut anymore.
Hold on. I got cut before that. It messed me up for the rest of the game.
The rest of the
actually.
game?
Were you held up and cut?
No, I wasn't
Thomas,
held up
were you held up
I
and
was
cut?
I was free on the blitz off the edge, and I'm thinking me and this running back about to go head to head. That boy dropped low, and I flipped it on my neck. I said for the rest of the game,
again,
started
different, right?
tiptoeing.
But Thomas, I started this off by saying,
Yep, he right.
if we one-on-one, all bets are off.
Right.
Okay? Because I can see you. You can see me. And I have at least a chance to protect myself. If you're more athletic and you get underneath me and you get my legs, so be it. Okay? My problem is when Nick Chubb was being held up and turned so his back was facing Minkah Fitzpatrick.
That's right.
How you going to tell me that that's a legal play? And they say, oh, we brothers. I don't need no damn family like that.
Drop the mic.
I mean, Leroy's on point with this.
I agree with them. I know. I
think of it
It's
like
a
that.
great
jump
point.
felt that he was.
It's a great
I
point.
stand on my
Leroy,
statement.
on a lighter note, what do you think of
Yes, sir.
what do you think of what you've seen from Jerome Ford so far? What did you think of Kareem Hunt's first game back also?
Well, I figured Kareem Hunt and Tobbs, we talk about, I'd say he get 5 to 10 carries,
Yep.
get his feet wet, put him in on some short yard stuff, let him just be a moose, right? And do what Kareem does. Kareem, it's pretty cool that you have the luxury of bringing the running back in and putting him in his same role that he was in when he left.
Right.
So that is a bonus right there, where a lot of things you don't have to get him caught up on. That being said, I've been impressed. You know, I don't want to say this, but I'm gonna say it because that's what I do. But part of the reason why they let Kareem Hunt go because of Jerome Ford.
That's
Right?
That's right.
So
Yes.
so when Jerome Ford goes in for Nick Chubb, there's a level of expectation you could have with him. And lo and behold, he took off. Right? So I think he can carry the load. I think they're gonna increase Kareem Hunt's production. But I think more importantly, it's the flexibility that you have to use them in a number of different ways. And I think that's the most important thing. That now you can still continue with your offense. You can still run the ball when you want to because you don't feel that you don't have the people behind the quarterback that can't run. You know, so you can still run your offense. And I think that's the most important thing.
Leroy said he was a fumbler. You want to venture a guess how many times you put the football on the field as a running back in the NFL?
Man, let me see.
Wow.
Hey,
Don't say double digits.
hey, I'm hoping. I'm praying. Please, baby Jesus. I'm praying that it was less than my football number.
What?
You need more prayers.
Are you serious?
You think you fumbled it more than 30-something times? 30?
I have the number right here, Leroy.
Yeah.
What is it?
Courtesy of our EP, Steve Becker. You fumbled the ball 35 times in your career. 27 with the Browns.
Now, let's juxtapose that with Kareem Hunt, who's had well over 1,200 touches in his career. He's lost one fumble.
Yeah. Well,
amazing.
let me tell you something. In fairness to me, put them big ass shoulder pads on Nick Chubb and see how he run around like a hermit.
You guys look like Megatron.
Hey,
Not
Not
to
to defend
mention
Leroy for a sec.
Leroy was
defend
allowed
you
to
for
be
a sec.
clotheslined and stuff. You know,
True.
they can't tackle the same way.
Let me defend Leroy real quick. Leroy, you made a Pro Bowl in 1994. Very impressive season.
Yeah.
you also led or had your career high in fumbles that year. You were so good as a runner that despite fumbling 8 times that season, you still made a Pro Bowl. You had averaged half a fumble per game and still were a Pro Bowl. That's why you're a favorite running back here.
So when Belichick came in, right, he brought me and Metcalf into his office. He said, Metcalf, you led the league in fumbles per touch. And so, me and Metcalf boys, so I'm looking at him smiling and giggling. Shut up, Hoard, you were second. and so, Bill, we would have conversations, right? Bill would say, hey, look, you running hard. I'll give you that. He said, you need to do more to protect the ball. Because I used to squeeze it so damn tight that the slightest of hit, it would squirt out. And I'm like, oh my goodness. They go, what are you doing? Protect the football. I'm like, I'm squeezing the hell out of it. Right? So he said, you got to do so. I tried to do the thing where you run with 2 hands and hold it, and it just looked clunky. He said, go back to the old way.
Speaking of fumbling the ball, what do you think of the Browns' third running back, Elijah Moore, taking carries?
Oof.
What's wrong? Don't do that. What's wrong with that?
Let me say this. That it's one thing to carry the ball, right? It's another thing to carry it like a running back, right? When you used to carrying it in space all the time, when you used to carrying it, out in the open and you got time to protect yourself, when you in the mix, them hands and punches and swats at the ball coming from anywhere. And so it's different, and it's one of those things you got to get used to. You got to get used to it.
With Leroy, they didn't punch at the ball. They just took
it. My mom said,
well,
look at
they just took it. I was like,
hey. Sometimes you get got, man. I don't know. Like, everybody make it sound like it's so easy. Yeah. Like, look, there's a couple of buttons on my body. If you mash them, the last thing on my mind is holding on to that football. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people like that. You get Jesus! Oh, and then you get back to the sideline limping, your arm is sideways. Hold on to the ball. All right.
Leroy, left tackle. It's been a big problem. Jedrick Wills has been awful. They already gave him his 5th-year extension. You're dealing with Conklin got hurt. DeJuan Jones has done a decent job. He seems to be getting better. He's a 4th round, 5th round rookie, whatever he was. 4th round rookie.
Go Bucks.
So I'm okay with that. But man, left tackle is such an important position. You talked about Deshaun played better because he had more time this week, and we've seen the numbers under pressure. His numbers under pressure, like many quarterbacks, are not good. How concerned are you about the left tackle spot right now?
I've learned a long time ago that you look at the offensive line as a whole.
All right.
Because they can run schemes to protect one guy, right? And sometimes you have to do that. And every when your offensive line is great, it don't mean every individual player is great. It means they play well together. And you got to, give it up for either the O-line coach or the offensive scheme or things like that. So I'm never going to say and point out one guy, because the offensive line as a whole has done pretty good. And it would be tough to put it on one guy. Now, that being said, football is such that they'll find your soft spot. So you better be ready for it. If that's your weakest link, they're going to start doing things on that side of the ball to try to expose him. So he's going to have to get better. But as a whole, this is over the past 3 or 4 years have been one of the best run blocking offensive lines in the game. So I'm not going to just totally dismiss and say that they are all bad. Is there a couple of players that maybe need to improve on what they're doing? Of course. And I think that, sometimes we look at players and see their shortcomings but we don't understand why, and we don't understand what the franchise or the team thinks of that player. Clearly, they think he can do it. So it's just a matter of getting him in the right positions to do it.
He's got the right coach to help him out. Hey, before we let you go, analyze the breakdown, the preview, Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns on Sunday. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for one thing, and I talked about it earlier, how impressed I am with that pressure up the middle, right?
Yeah.
And all I want to do is, listen, Lamar Jackson going to make some plays on you, right? But here's what you want. You want to put that heat on him up front, so he looking at you. Mm-hmm. If he looking at you, he ain't looking down the field. And if he ain't looking down the field, he can't make as many plays. So you put pressure on him. You try to contain him. The thing is, I think they have enough speed to kind of get him sometimes and put him in bad positions. And put him in bad positions to make some throws that maybe he don't want to. I like when quarterbacks of that ilk, instead of running, they try to get rid of the ball quicker. Because you know what that is. That's the secondary's dream.
Sure.
Early pass, when the receiver ain't really ready, but you looking at the quarterback, or you looking down, in the backfield.
Jump that
Absolutely.
route. Yeah.
Right. So from that standpoint, it's all about how they're going to contain Lamar Jackson. I think what helps more than it has in the past is the pressure up the middle. Because now you put pressure up the middle, he don't have those lanes to go, underneath the outside rushers. Mm-hmm. And it'll be interesting to see, okay, just from that standpoint, what kind of pressure they're going to put on him. Are you gonna blitz him? Are you gonna try to play, more zone and dare him to pick you apart? Because I do believe of all the running quarterbacks, all the guys you say athletic quarterbacks, he is the best passer of the ball. And people don't give him credit for that. So he can throw the ball, but make him throw it on your terms. Mm-hmm. Don't make it throw in his terms. That means the quarterback get to sit back there with his jersey, get his uniform right, make a phone call, and then throw the ball to somebody down the field that's wide open because he's been running around for 5 seconds.
Right.
Put some pressure on him. Put some heat on him.
Make him uncomfortable.
Make him uncomfortable, and then let's see if he got to go to the bathroom and make a boo-boo and then come back out and win the game.
Make a boo-boo. All right, Leroy, as we all know, the biggest story in the NFL this week is Travis Kelce dating Taylor Swift. When you were playing for the Browns, did you ever date Pat Benatar? Did you ever date Madonna? Did you ever Donna Summer?
Whoa,
the Pointer Sisters. Did you ever date any of them?
The Pointer Sisters. Ain't that old dog?
First of all,
yeah,
I played with a guy that dated Left Eye.
Andre Rudd.
That's right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So while you going back in the Wayback Machine, we already had that.
Disrespectful. That was kind of disrespectful.
I was just thinking of singers that popped into my head. I wasn't accounting for their age.
What kind of chatter was there in the locker room about that? None. You didn't care.
I mean, Andre Rison was, Dre was, he was his own dude, right?
Interesting guy.
He was an interesting dude, but nothing.
So none of that.
We went to Atlantic City. All of us went to Atlantic City. That was interesting.
Did you ever hang
Don't
out?
stop there. No.
What happened in Atlantic City?
What he did is he caught himself. He was getting ready to tell the story, and then he goes, well, that was interesting. What happened?
All right, so
come on.
Let me see how I can tell.
I knew it was good.
So we went. It was when we went to Baltimore. I knew some people in Atlantic City. They said, "Hey, we'll send you guys up some cars. We'll bring you down to Atlantic City. Y'all come have some fun or whatever. Welcome you to this part of the country." I was like, "Okay." So we got we had like 4 or 5 linemen, a couple of wide receivers, and then Dre. So they sent 4 cars. Dre say, "I need my own car." So me, I'm like, wait a minute, you a guest? You gonna have me jail? All right, Dre. you understand. You make exceptions for your boy, right? So we get to Atlantic City. It's about 8 of us. We all getting out of the car. And then Dre get out of the car. We look in the car. It's baby oil everywhere. I'm telling you. Hey, it looked like the back of that limo looked like when you shine your tires, that's stuff on it. They get out. They look like they get ready to go to the beach and tan. I'm like, Dre. He said, I don't want to talk about it. Like, you ain't got to talk. You ain't got to talk. I said, you need to talk because otherwise I'm going to come to my own conclusion. So,
That's crazy.
God.
man. So it's one of those things, man, that, it's funny because the stories of the people that you played with or that you hung out with or whatever far exceed football, and I remember those stories more than when we actually played together.
Yeah.
We gotta get you we gotta get you on Vlad or something. We're gonna get the camera angle and just shoot it just like Vlad, and you gonna tell all the stories.
Leroy Hoard's Story Hour.
Your stories is crazy.
Hey, we love you, brother. Wow, pick the winner
right.
real quick. Who wins? Real quick.
I'm gonna say Browns 24-20 because they're at home.